All right, so thanks for clicking the link. Um, this is going to be somewhat what the assignment looks like for you guys. Obviously, right here, there'll be an actual link that you can click. Um, but I'm just going to show you how to kind of go through and do each one of these things right here. And we're actually going to kind of start by doing number 3 somewhat. Um, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. So um, don't just click this thing right here. Actually, move to the right and click these 3 buttons right here. These little 3 dots, I should say. Click that, and then click to open it in Excel. You can do everything we're doing just with doing Excel in the browser or Excel in Teams, but it may not look exactly the same as what I got right here. So it'll be a little bit easier if you open in Excel. Yours probably looks like bright, like a white spreadsheet. Um, it's pretty dark in my room, so I actually just have it on dark mode. So if you go up to these menu options, if you go to view, and right underneath that, for me at least, it says you can switch modes. And I don't want to blind anybody, so I'm actually just going to keep it on dark mode. So if you like dark mode, you're more than welcome to do that. So let's actually start kind of by labeling our columns. Um, let's look at what it's asking us to do first. So it says it wants us to generate a column with 35 random numbers. So let's actually, sorry, I don't know why I have all my key visibility for everything, but let's resize. Well, let me do that. Let's resize this. So you can just kind of click and drag the column, the top column. You'll notice that I'm in A1. And you could format this how you like. I like to make my stuff look a little pretty when I have the opportunity. That might be a little bright. Here, let's try a dark slate. Oh, that's right, I'm in dark mode. Some of the stuff is going to be kind of flipped. There we go. That works. So this is going to be my random numbers column, right? So now you'll see that I'm on A2, and you can actually navigate around using the keypad. As you can see, I'm just using the arrow keys to kind of move around, which is fun. It's nice. So navigate to cell A2, right? So like I said, you can use the mouse, or I like to use the keypad whenever I can, the arrow keys. Once you have A2 highlighted, we're going to get started generating our random numbers. And in Excel, whenever you want to do any type of like formula or usually just formulas, we're going to type equal sign first. Okay? So now that we're in A2, right? Make sure you're on A2. I'm going to press the equals. And now I've prompted Excel that I'm going to type in a formula. And a lot of people would think that rand would be fine. And that would be fine. In fact, that'd be great for probability and statistics because it's a number between 0 and 1. And that'll give us a decimal. But I want to get random whole numbers. Right? So let's redo that. So equal sign. And I want to do rand between. Rand between. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Supposed to press tab. Rand between, right? So once you have it kind of highlighted, the formula that we're going to use, you're actually not going to click enter. You're going to click tab. So I'm glad I made that mistake. And now Excel, it's asking us to enter a bottom number, so a lowest value, and once we're done with that, we'll do a top value. So let's just do between 0, then I have to hit comma, space, and then 10. So what that's going to do is it's going to generate a random number between 0 and 10, which is kind of nice. And then so once you press enter, it'll move you to the next one. Let's try that again. Rand between. You don't even need to type the whole thing. Once that formula is highlighted, you can just press tab. 0 and 10, and I'm going to hit enter, and it generates that number. So tab to select the formula, and enter to kind of finalize that. And I can refresh this with F9. Don't try that on your laptops. It'll be kind of annoying. Right, and you can tell that it's just random. It's just generating random numbers between 0 and 10, which is cool. But I believe I asked you to make 35 random numbers. So I'm not going to ask you to do 35 random numbers like that, where you you type it in all the way. Watch this. When you navigate to that A2, let me zoom in. So you can zoom in by holding control and scrolling, right? You'll notice that there's this little itty bitty green square on the bottom right of the cell. So you'll know that you've navigated to that once you get there and your cross turns black, right? And what that's going to allow you to do is actually copy and paste that formula. So let's click that, and then you just click and drag. And we wanted 35, right? So let's go all the way down to 36. And look at that. It looks like we have 36. I'm sorry. We have a column with 35 random numbers between 0 and 10. Right? Now, it's a little bit annoying because if I'm doing some sort of formula, let's say if I want to just multiply, each of these by 2, right? And let's say if I want to do that for all of them, right? Well, every time this page gets refreshed, everything's going to change, right? So let's actually lock in these values. So I'll type in locked values on C1, right? So you'll see that we are on C1, and I actually want to middle align all these. Let me get a nice color. So I'm going to my paint bucket. You can also right click, and there's a paint bucket option. So let's do this nice blue. Ooh, very nice. Okay, and I'm going to take all this. So listen carefully. You can always use your mouse. You can always use your mouse, click and drag, but I know that using the trackpad is kind of a pain, right? So make sure you're on A2 and follow along closely. So once you're on A2, watch. I'm going to hold Control. I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to press down on the arrow keys. I'm going to hit down once, and that selects my whole range. All right, so watch this again. So make sure you're on A2, Control, Shift, and then down. You can right click and you can copy it that way, but I always prefer to use my hotkeys whenever I can. I'm going to hold Control C to copy. Should have known that high school students know how to copy and paste, right? However, if I just paste that using Control V, well, now you'll notice that the values don't line up because it pasted the formula, right? It didn't paste the actual values. I want 3, 8, 7, 10, 10, 6, and so on, right? I want these numbers to get pasted over, right? In fact, let's middle align all this. It's bugging me, right? As you can see, every time I kind of do something, it'll refresh. And so these numbers are different, right? So let's go ahead. We'll do that Control Shift down, right? I'm on C2, Control Shift down to select that whole range. And let's clear those. Okay. Like I said, I want to get these values. So again, make sure you're paying attention because when I actually do it, the numbers are going to change. So these numbers will change, but what will be left here is 57055 and so on, right? So make sure you're on A2, Control, Shift, down. And I can't just Control C. I have to hit control. Well, actually, sorry, don't listen to me. I can control C, but I can't control V here. It'll just make the same mistake that we did before. I'm going to right click on C2. I'm going to right click. And I'm going to do this one, right? So go down to paste options. And the second one from the left, you'll see there's a clipboard that says 1, 2, 3. And when you hover over it, it says values. Sorry, my mouse is kind of blocking it. It says values. So the clipboard with the 1, 2, 3 values. And so what's going to happen is it's going to paste those values. It's not going to paste the formula. It's not going to paste those random numbers. It's going to paste the locked in values. There you go. And so now, no matter how many times I refresh this page, these are just regular numbers, as you can kind of see up here, right? You can see that up here. However, this one is just the random numbers, right? So that's nice. Copy and paste those values to another column. So we're just labeling our columns as we go, right? So let's create another column with a list of numbers from 1 to 50. Right, and that's easy. I'll just type in ordered numbers, right? Let's make that a little bit wider. And again, let's middle align and paste bucket. I want a pretty color. So many pretty blues. Let's go with this nice green. Ooh, how pretty. Ordered numbers. For this one, maybe there is some sort of formula, but I don't really know it off the top of my head, you know? So let's go ahead and get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but let's not waste too much time, right? Because of course Excel can automate a lot of stuff, right? So I think 5 values is enough. Honestly, 3 probably would have been fine, but let's again navigate to cell E2. Okay, again, we're going to hit Control, Shift, and then we're going to hit down once. And that selects that whole range. And then here's what we're going to do. Remember that green square in the bottom right corner? Make sure you navigate to that. And then when that kind of cross sign turns black, you know that you can copy and paste it. And so we'll go down, and kind of when you go down to the bottom, it'll start scrolling down for you. And let's make sure that we get 50 values, right? So look at that, 1 through 50. Isn't that what we asked for? List of numbers from 1 to 50, yes. Okay, and so now all we have to do is use a formula to create a column with all those numbers doubled. So let's, I'm actually going to do that right here. Give me 1 second. So let me middle align that, center it. And then right next to it, let's do another column. Let's widen it out a little bit. And let's just say double. Again, center align. I wonder if Control E would do it. I'm kind of nervous to even try. Let's just use that button because we know it'll do that. And let me just do another shade of green. How about that? So a little darker shade of green because they're linked, right? And so listen very closely. We do have to use a formula to double this, but it's very simple. Watch. So now that I'm in F2, okay, I'm going to click equal sign, and we want to double it, right? We want to double each one of these ordered numbers, all right? We're going to double each one. So 1's going to become 2, 2's going to become 4, 3's going to become 6, and so on, right? Well, that sounds like a real pain to do just by hand. So let's use Excel. So 2, and I'm going to press Shift 8 for a multiplication symbol. It's kind of like a little asterisk, but Excel says that's multiplication. All right, and then watch this. I'm just going to click the left arrow once. I'm just going to click that left arrow once. And you'll see that it kind of highlights that cell E2. It highlights that 1 right there. And what that's going to do is it's going to multiply whatever's in that cell by 2. And look at that. 1 times 2 is 2. So all we have to do is, again, find that green square in the bottom right corner of the cell. All we have to do is click and drag. I'm sure there's a way to do that with the arrow keys, but honestly, I'm not that much of an Excel whiz. We copy and paste all these values, and look at that. 2 became 4, 3 became 6, 4 became 8, 5 became 10, 6 became 12, 7 became 14, and so on. Pretty great. Last step. Again, let's go ahead and center that, just because I like my, I don't know why I like my numbers centered. Maybe it just feels prettier to me. Our last step is it wants us to make a graph using those 2 columns. Okay, so I'm going to start off on E2. I'm going to hit Control Shift, and I'm going to press down, but don't let go of that Control Shift yet, because you're going to use it to hit right once. Okay, so let's do that again really quick. So make sure you're on E2. You just want the numbers. You don't want the labels. It would work. Sometimes I just don't like the default way that Excel labels its charts. So again, hold Control Shift, press down, and then right. Okay, so now we have the data that we want in our chart, I guess. What did I say? A graph, I guess I called it. Chart's probably a more accurate word. We're going to go up top to where it says Insert. And let's see, do we have a line graph? Line, we'll just use a scatter plot. I'm more familiar. And you guys are going to be using scatter plots later anyways. So, scatter plot. Like that, right? So insert, charts. You should have one that kind of looks like a few bubbles. And you're just going to select that first one. Scatter plot. Okay. I can change a few things here. Get rid of that title. But it looks like it's everything that we need, right? It doesn't quite start from 0, but you know, at least it goes to 0. But our data is actually from 1. On the x-axis, it starts from 1 and it ends at 50. And it starts at you know, a y value of 2. You can barely see it on there. My mouse is just kind of blocking it a little bit. And it ends at 100, which is kind of exactly what we wanted, right? You can also format this. Later on, we'll be using this button. We'll be using trend lines. The bubbles are kind of blocking the trend line. You can't super see it very well. You can title your axes. You can title the chart. You can label your data. There's error bars, you know, but that's for more, that's for kind of different stuff. You can also style it if you want. You can color it differently, you know. Things are being a little bit weird, I think, because I'm in dark mode. But that's about it. I can see you don't need to do anything. You barely even need to you don't even really need to turn this in if you want. I can just go through, man, I'm trying to move this stupid chart. There we go. But your stuff should look pretty much exactly like this. And I can go in and I can just look at it on Teams. And I can see how you're doing. I can just, okay, they did that one right. They did that one right. That and that is correct. And I can see your chart. Okay. So just let me know if you're having any issues. Obviously, shoot me a message or come see me. This is just this wasn't meant to be anything crazy advanced or even ultra difficult. This was just to get you used to some of the hotkeys that I use that help me navigate Excel. Something that we're going to be using, you know, within a couple of months, the scatter plot chart, and so on, right? And you know, last thing, you know, if you find that you really screwed up, you can select the whole. I doubt you guys will ever get to this point, but you can select the whole thing with Control A, and sometimes I just like to clear it all. You can clear all this by saying no fill, no fill, and then you can even get all your stuff to the right default size. So as always, please let me know if there's anything that you're struggling with or if you're misunderstanding. It's totally fine. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it.